So what I'm going to do is I'm going to manually unlock this thing and get this set up and ready for a balancing position. So you'll notice that I have the screen sort of facing me, and when I unlock this middle axis right here, this is called a roll axis, I'm going to rotate this out to the side, engage that lock again, and make sure it's stable. I'm going to do the same thing on the front side here. I'm going to unlock this axis. Get it. There we go. Put this kind of down and parallel with the ground, engage the lock one more time, and we're almost ready to start the balancing process. Now the first thing we're going to do, or next thing we're going to do, is we're going to install this plate. This is the bottom portion of the plate, and we're going to do this first. We're going to insert this from the front to the back and put this about in the middle. And this is important because we're going to have to move the camera back and forth to make sure that this is balanced. I'll explain what balance actually means in just a few moments. But middle is a really good first starting point, and we can kind of go from there. We'll make sure the tracking module is installed, and that's kind of an important note. When we're going through this process, before we even power this on, we want to make sure our camera is completely set up how we intend to shoot. So if we have lens caps on there, or we want to put lens filters, or if we want extra accessories like a DJI mic receiver or whatever, get all that set up first before starting this balancing process. And then I'm going to take this 50-cent plate and attach it to this $12,000 camera. I asked him, hey, did anybody bring a video camera? And I'm like, well, I got the Hasselblad. All right, that works, sure, cool. Okay, so I've installed the plate, and you'll notice that I've installed it where it's kind of sort of running parallel to the camera body width. And then this little plastic piece is meant as an aligner tool. So before I fully tighten this unit all the way down, what I want to do is I want to take this piece, I'm going to press it all the way up against the camera body. And this is just going to make sure that this plate doesn't twist or malfunction later on. So once I've done that, I'll just give this a good solid tighten. Are we doing video? And I'm just looking like a, okay. All right, so we have our plate. So, see, I got it all funky. Okay, we're almost ready to start the balancing process. So now what we'll do is we'll insert our camera from the outside in to this plate and make sure we're unlocked, and we'll hear it click in a second. There you go. And we have safety latches built in to make sure that this doesn't accidentally come off once it's in there. If we want to remove this, we'll have to press this little safety latch button on the back side to get it off. So what we're going to do is we're going to push it in as far in as it will go, and we can see we're pressing up against the side. And once it's in that position, then we're going to lock it down using this lever that's on the back side. So we'll just lock that lever down, make sure my camera can't go anywhere. At this point, before we start balancing, I want to make sure that everything is tightened on here. I want nothing to be loose, so there's all these little levers and stuff, so you can just kind of push down on all of them really quickly. This we don't need to install yet. We can do this after the fact since it's not attached to this gimbal head here that will stabilize our camera. So what is balancing? Before we power on and use this thing, we want to be able to unlock each of these 3 different axes right here and physically move the camera around. And when we let go, the camera should stay perfectly still. If it doesn't stay perfectly still, it's not balanced. This is one of the biggest causes of customer issues or complaints. So if they're having issues saying, oh, my footage is all wobbly, this is one of the very first things to check. How well did they balance it? And one thing you'll hear too, is people will assure you, oh, I balanced it perfectly 5 or 6 different times. Oh, okay, cool. You go and do it yourself and you're like, hey. I'm not going to tell you were wrong, but, well, we know you didn't. Okay, so brand new with the RS4 Mini series is that this balancing process is now identical to all of our other gimbals in the lineup. In the past generation, the balancing process was a little bit different. And for newcomers to gimbals, it was actually a bit of a pain. So we now have a streamlined experience. So now I'm unlocked and the camera can freely move. What I'm going to do with my hand on my camera at all times is I'm just going to point it straight forward. This is step number 1, point it forward. I'm going to let go. And I'm going to figure out if it's falling in any particular direction. Now right now, it's falling backwards very clearly. This means that there's too much weight on the backside, and so anytime the camera falls in one direction, you simply need to shift the weight in the opposite direction. So, step 1, point your camera forward with the tilt axis unlocked and let go. If it moves back, shift the camera forward. If it falls forward, move the camera back. So this is an easy adjustment. Falling back, I'm going to loosen this lever that's found here on the side, and this will give me the ability to use this tilt adjustment wheel in order to modify the position of the camera. So this makes it easy to sort of make small adjustments. And as I do this, I'm going to just quickly check. I don't want to take my hands completely off the setup. I just need to figure out what direction it's falling. So if it's moving back, we're going to continue to move this forward until we get to a point where it wants to stay almost perfectly still. I think I might need to slow down, being tight. Okay, almost there. And that's pretty good. Close enough is usually good enough as well. It helps to be as accurate as possible. One of the biggest issues when you're not balanced can be shaky footage. The camera just doesn't look good. I thought this was a stabilizer, it's not working. But the other big issue is even if the motors are powerful enough to stabilize this, they may be using a lot of extra power, and so customers will typically have drastically reduced battery life. This thing's rated for up to 13 hours of battery life, but a poorly balanced gimbal might only last 45 minutes to an hour. So that's like another thing. If they come back and they're like, oh, this thing's just not working, or it's not lasting all day. It said 13 hours. That's just one of the first things to check, balancing. So it's pointed forward and things are looking good. Now the next step, and I'm actually going to sort of fudge this one up so you can get a better idea. So step one, point it forward, and what we want to do, that's why we keep our camera nearby, buy $12,000. I'm just going to flee out there. Yeah, I seen that look on your face. Whoa.
So I saw that lens.
I know, that was like right there, man. Okay, so we want to point the camera forward, and we want to do kind of a rough job, and that means, I'll show you what I mean. In this situation, you'll notice that it's actually falling back and it's also falling forward. Now, what we want to do on the first step is get it where it's close enough, where it's kind of trying to stay still. And that's good. We're going to fix this in a moment. So step one, do a sort of rough job. Step two is to point the camera straight up, and now we're going to do the same thing. We want it to stay perfectly still. And right now, I can see it when I let go, it's falling backwards towards me. There's too much weight up here. And the way to fix that is this adjustment arm that's right here. So I'm going to loosen this with the lever right here, and this will allow me to make adjustments back and forth. So while it's pointed up, I'm going to push in the opposite direction that it's falling. So with my hand close by my camera, I'm just going to periodically let go, fall back, I'm going to move it forward in the opposite direction. And as I keep doing that, we'll get to a point where this should stay just about still. Just like that. And so that's what I mean when we're sort of balanced. Everything's unlocked, the camera is able to stay still when it's pointed up. Then when we go back, so that's step two. So step one, point it forward, do a rough job. Step two, get it perfectly balanced while it's pointed straight up. And then step three is to go back and check one more time just to make sure that it's perfectly still. It's pretty common that it might slowly tilt in one direction or another, and you usually have to make a small adjustment. So this is looking good. This axis itself is perfectly balanced. The camera's not moving as we let go and move this around, and we know we're going to get good battery life and good stabilization performance. Now that we're done with this, we're going to move on to the last two axes on here. The other two are much easier, and you're not going to have to do nearly as frequently. In the event that, let's say like this is my camera and I shoot this all the time, but I occasionally change lenses and stuff, the only axis I'm really going to have to go through this balancing process with in the future is just this one up top. So if I slap on a different lens that's longer or heavier, generally I'll probably only have to make this forward and backward sort of adjustment to make sure it's good to go, and then that's it. I won't have to worry about these other two. The reason being is the overall width and center of gravity of the camera isn't essentially going to change in this direction. It's just the length of the overall setup that's going to change when you're switching lenses on the system. Okay, so with the tilt axis locked and balanced, we're going to move on to this roll axis. So top to bottom here. So roll axis is this one right in the middle, and this one is really simple. I'm going to unlock this using this lever in just a moment. And when I do that, before I unlock it, I'm going to make sure my hand is on here again to make sure that this thing doesn't crash down everywhere. So unlock, And same thing as before, point it straight forward and we're just gonna let go. Anytime it falls in one direction, we just gotta move the weight in the opposite direction. So all I have to do in this step is use the lever that's on the bottom of the roll axis arm. We're gonna loosen this up, and this will allow me to move this whole arm back and forth. So I'm gonna loosen that up, keep my hand underneath, point this forward, and let go. And I just need to find out what direction it's going, and I would continue to make adjustments in the opposite direction that this is moving. And see, here you can see I've actually gone too much, and now it's falling the other way. So I'm gonna try to make a small adjustment here. And there we go. Now I can use that same lever underneath the arm, lock it down, make sure it's nice and tight, and this is now balanced. And so we're ready to go on to the last step. And again, this one you won't really have to do too often if you're using the same camera body. The last one is the pan arm. I'm gonna actually make sure this is all messed up. There's a locking mechanism down on the bottom. You're gonna simply unlock that so this can freely move around. This one can be a little bit tricky, and it takes a few, like, you kind of have to do it yourself in order to figure out what the heck is happening. What you have to do is you have to take your camera and your gimbal, and you have to tilt it to one direction in the same direction every time. So like myself, it's easy for me to take this, tilt this off to the right-hand side. I'll show you why right now. When I tilt it off to the right, you'll notice that from my perspective, it's rotating clockwise like this. And that means that there is simply too much weight on the front side causing it to rotate. The problem is if I now tilt to the left, you'll notice that it's going to rotate sort of counterclockwise. So this can be tough to figure out what the heck is happening at the start. So tilt off to the right, point it straight forward and let go. Now in this case, it's clockwise. If it were too back heavy, which I don't know if we can get there. Okay, there we go. It's going to rotate counterclockwise. And so tilting off to the side, I can see there's too much weight now on this back side, causing it to rotate counterclockwise. So all I need to simply do is, because there's too much weight back here, move that weight forward. And I'll loosen the knob or the lever on the bottom, make adjustments, lock that back up, tilt off to the side, and still too much weight.
So there's a lever for each axis?
There is, yes. Yeah, so the lever, when I mentioned before balancing, you want to make sure each one of those levers are locked down. A lot of times it's common, especially the first few times you're balancing, that like you left one of these unlocked, and then as you're doing it, it messes the other ones up, or it messes something you already did up. And so it's just a good idea, pre-fight checklist, lock everything down first before you start, that kind of thing. All right, excellent. So that is now balanced on the pan axis. I'm going to unlock the remaining motors so everything has free range of motion, and we'll see what a balanced gimbal looks like. I can now freely move this around in a variety of different positions, and the camera is going to stay relatively still.
That's sick.
This is, yeah, and it's cool, right? And like as a user, like when you finally get this for the first time, even though it's like I literally got my first gray hair after working with a gimbal for like 2 weeks, and I was like, what the hell is that? No way. It'll take 20 minutes the first time you do it, and you'll wonder what the heck, you don't even know what's happening. Then it'll take 10 minutes the second time, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 2 minutes, whatever, and you get faster and faster. Before you know it, it becomes like second nature. But it is one of those things where you just have to try and try again.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, it's not like an automatic process. But once you do it, it's like, yes, that is cool. As a note, and this is interesting, you can kind of see it, but on some of these arms, we have these numbered markings right here on the aluminum arm pieces. And these little dashes and numbered pieces, they're on every single arm, including the roll axis on the back, front, here, wherever we make adjustments. This can be really handy because we can either write these down, or in the past, I've actually just used a dry erase marker. Once I've used my camera setup, just put a little mark on each of the little areas that I set up a perfectly balanced camera. And then later on, I can simply move those pieces when I show up somewhere, move those into those exact spots. I don't even have to do this whole process. I'm just ready to go right away.